at me. All right, welcome. I think I'm feeling the effects of the gumbo from down the street. It's just that touch of unprofessionalism that I'm told makes me so lovable. Nice to see you. Good to see you guys.
Yeah, my poor boy is just about kicking in.
It's just about there? Yeah. I'm the poor boy,
Some
huh?
tracers.
Yeah. I like how you call him poor boy.
Po boy. Po boy.
But I like when
Did
you
I
say
poor boy?
You say poor.
Yeah.
I like poor boy as well. Yeah.
Isn't that what Po is short for?
I think so. Not preferred nomenclature is in question. This next song I'm going to play, okay, so back home in Texas, right? And those of you who don't know, I've been a side person most of my life. And many, many, many years ago, I was in a band, believe it or not, out of New York City. And we played every house of blues in the country, opening up for the band Maroon 5. Always. Somebody in the audience, ooh, right? Okay, so like the Maroon 5 guys, surprisingly nice. And there were like 5 underwear models who could play, basically. And they were really good. But I got to see firsthand like how a major label pushes a band and like makes them famous if they're not famous yet. And like the first time they recorded that, because it was right around the Songs About Jane era, which is a great record. No matter what kind of music you're into, it's a good record. First time they cut the record, nobody liked it. So they re-recorded the whole thing on the label's dime. Second time, nobody liked it. So they went home and re-recorded the whole record again. Third time, they were like, you will like Maroon 5. And they just like pushed money, and we went around and we played everywhere. And we'd go places and it'd be like, oh, nobody likes them. And then we'd go back. Everybody likes Maroon 5 all of a sudden. But like I said, they deserved it. And I mean, that's kind of the truth of the music business that you don't know about the major labels, is that it takes a lot of marketing and a lot of pushing and stuff that you don't want to hear about, because it takes away that mystery. You think that people just like, all of a sudden, whatever. Well, the guy I was playing with, no amount of that was going to make him famous. He was great too, but he was a jerk. Okay, I signed a $1 million waiver that I wasn't going to talk about his political views and his views on, like, women and things like that, because he was just a shithead. Excuse my language. And so after like 2 months, I quit because I just couldn't deal with him anymore. Even though I was living the rock and roll dream, I was like suitcase, hotel, all over the place, playing big stages, loved that part. But I couldn't stand the guy. So I called the manager and I said, I've quit. I'm going back to Texas. And they said, okay. And I said, just send me my stuff. I'll pay for it. And I felt really defeated, even though I knew it was the right move, And you know that thing? So I'm flying home, and I just feel like crap. And you're getting off the plane, and the pilot looks at you, and they say, oh, thanks for flying with us or whatever. And you guys know that, right? When you're getting off the plane, or the steward or the flight attendants or whatever. So I'm walking off the plane, and the pilot looks at me, and he just sees it on my face as I'm kind of trotting down the aisle. He's like, looks at me, he goes, welcome back to God's country, son. And I just looked at him, and I was like, oh, man. It's just all of a sudden, this wash came over my face. I was like, yeah, all right, So I get in the car. I'm not kidding. My friend picks me up at the airport. I get in the car. I'm driving back to the hill country. And Madsen at KNBT in New Braunfels plays this song, which is a song that I had written for like wayward travelers so that they always knew they had a place when they were coming home. It's my very first song on my very first album. And if you look back there, you'll see an album with like a guy with no beard and a bad Sam Adams style haircut and 20 pounds lighter and 20 years younger, and rehab's a bitch, people, but but I got through the other side okay. And so he's playing this song, and it was kind of like, it was just really poetic that the song I had written for others was now my welcome home. So I've been playing this at the beginning of the shows because it's really nice to be home. So. was like to wander, born a free man. You've been on this road since you don't know when. You may be more lost now than you've ever been. You will find your way home again. It was in your mind, well, to go around the world, make yourself $1 or find yourself a girl. And if you come back wise with empty hands, at least you'll find your way home again. Some days your sun shines, oh, and some days it rains. We hope you take all those moments and treasures and your pains. You can put them in your pocket, or you can throw them to the wind, but you will find your way home. How about my friend Gabriel Rhodes on the guitar right there? He's like, So one thing's for sure. Okay, so you go. My wife is born and raised in Canada on Vancouver Island, a very beautiful place. We used to go up there in the summers, and then 1 month would turn into 2 months, and I'd go up there and write and get out of the music scene, and it was real hip, and her family's really awesome, so I'd love it up there, in the summertime. Well, we were about to go up there for the summer, and then all of a sudden I was out on tour, and COVID started happening, and I'm coming back from Washington, D.C., and the airport is just empty. It's like me and another guy at a thing like 3 gates down. And I get back, and my wife's like, she's like, honey, should we just try and wait it out? And I'm like, oh no, we need to get the hell out of here. And she's like, what do you mean? And I was like, well, if you're gonna be up there for the summer anyway, we don't want to get stuck. So we hightailed it up there, and we always drive with our dogs in her truck. My wife's a horticulturalist and a gardener and arborist, and that's her art, and it's pretty hip. And so we drove up there 5 days. We were on the very last ferry before they shut the border down. And I mean the last ferry. It was 4:30 in the afternoon on a Sunday, and then they held us for an hour because, one guy at the border was like, well, I don't know if it's a really important travel or not. And the other guy was like, he's married to her, And So the other guy won, and I got in. So we've been there ever since for like a year and a half, and it's been a trip, you know. Now, a lot of people, they're of a certain mind where they're like, oh, you know, everything's perfect. You got health care. It's true. Works great. Don't believe the stories. Healthcare works really well up there. There's problems with it, but there's problems in Canada just like there is everywhere. There's good stuff here, there's good stuff there. It's not like one country is whatever. I will say this, though, without a doubt, I get really tired of the news. The news drives me nuts. I don't care what side of the political aisle you're on. In the States, news sucks. Can we all agree with that? Okay, whatever. So, like, what I love, like, we would turn on this show called The National, and I said, baby, this is weird. And she said, what? And I said, it's the news. And she said, what do you mean? I was like, they tell us the news. There's no pundit telling me what to think about the news. You know, they're just telling us this is what happens. It was like the old days when I was a kid. I'm old enough to now be that guy. You know, I remember when I was, you know, whatever. But it's true, like, you know, and then at the end there's some puff piece about, you know, a 13-year-old girl who does judo or a squirrel that water skis or whatever. There's something at the end that makes you laugh, you know. And I'm like, well, this is civilized, you know. But I have a friend that when Scrappy Judd Newcomb, that's his real name, by the way. And whenever we were on the road and I'd be looking at my phone too much, he would say, get out of the church of the poison mind, you know? And I'd be like, oh, man, you're right. And I'd put it away and we'd, you know, walk or we'd pick guitars or whatever. See, right? And not only that, but I realized that that's from like a really, really great Boy George song from the 80s. So that was kind of awesome that he was quoting that. So we took that, and I was just like, we wrote this with him in Marfa, Texas, and me up there, and we did it from my Patreon page, which, if you don't know, it's kind of like you buy a subscription to an artist. It's just like buying a subscription, you know? It's like you put $5 in every month, and I give you 2 tunes, and I don't have to worry about labels and record labels and all that stuff. Every month I do new music on it. Well, one month we did this song, and we hired Fran Christina, the original drummer for the Fabulous Thunderbirds. And then me and Scrappy, and we put all this stuff together for this track. And it was really inspired by like the Meters, so out of New Orleans. So if you can just kind of picture that kind of shackadoo beat, that we're gonna take you right there for a minute. Yeah. Lift me up, don't put me down. I need to dust myself off and arise from the cold, cold ground. Don't you think, oh, we could use a little good news this time? Oh, I'm taking back reality, 'cause I don't want to live in the church of the poison mind. Funny how they say you don't know what you've got till it's gone. And that's what they say. We've known from the get-go what we had all along. So darling, put your hand in mine. Oh, we're gonna paint this town outside the lines. It's not there, we'll do define. They're still selling, but we're not buying. Lift me up, don't put me down. I need to dust myself off and arise from the cold, cold ground. Don't you think, baby, we could use a little good news this time? Whoa, I'm taking back reality. I don't want to live in the church of the poison mind. Lord, I've run plumb out of patience for all the backstabbers and half-steppers. There's a better use of time, and I know it's not reliving, regretting. So darling, put your not there will do to find. They're still selling, but we're not buying. Yeah. Lift me up, don't put me down. Dust myself off and rise from the cold, cold ground. Don't you think we could use a little good news this time? Well, I'm taking back reality. I don't want to live in the church, the poison mind. So darling, put your hand in mine. We're gonna paint this town outside the lines. It's not there, we'll do to find. They're still selling, but we're not buying. Lift me up, don't put me down. Lift me up, don't put me down, no. Lift me